excited about it, and I'll talk about that a bit later. What excites me, I think, about smallholder farmers is that if you're able to impact on the smallholder farmers, you're able to impact on the majority of people in Africa's lives. And I think that gives your job or your role real purpose. And how often can we say when we come to work that our job has real purpose and impact? So super excited about being involved in this initiative and getting ready to have a great webinar. So thank you very much.
Okay, super, awesome. Yeah, no, so guys, we have people dialing in from all over. I'm dialing in from Botswana, Wendy's dialing in from Johannesburg, South Africa, and of course all of you in Uganda. So this is really a Pan-African effort, looks like. Okay, moving on to Solomon. Solomon, can you enlighten us about yourself?
Thank you, Vivek, and thank you for serving the best for the last. My name is Solomon Seruo. I work with Bukola Chemical Industries Limited. Bukola is an ag inputs company. We are into the crop protection industry, and we distribute products across the country. We have also presence in the region with registrations in Tanzania. Our products find their way to neighboring countries like Malawi, South Sudan, DRC, Burundi, and Rwanda. So we are pretty much in the region. What I do at Bukola, well, I'm an agronomist by training, but I'm also a marketeer. So I'm working as a marketing business development officer at Bukola Chemical Industries Limited. Well, what excites me about smallholder farmers is that, of course, these smallholder farmers, most of whom hold less than 2 acres of land, produce 80% of the food in sub-Saharan Africa. So interestingly, if our livelihoods and especially food is coming from smallholder farmers, to me, this is something that is quite exciting. Like Wendy said, if you target the smallholder farmers, you're certainly going to impact lots of lives, and the smallholders are here to stay. Well, we have challenges in the region, in the country specifically. If you look at our land tenure systems, they seem to be suggesting that we'll be living with smallholder farmers for quite a long time, and with the increasing populations, people are looking for land. Definitely land fragmentation is expected to continue happening, and we're expecting to see more people become smallholder farmers or working as smallholder farmers. So excitingly is that we have quite a huge population to work with who have done a great job for all the past, providing food for us all and for most of the other markets or countries. That's what I find so exciting about smallholder farmers.
Super, awesome.
And I'm also very privileged to be part of this discussion. We as a company have worked with smallholder farmers ever since the incorporation. So the discussions that we're going to have here are most likely going to inform some of strategic focus areas.
Yep. Awesome. Awesome. You clearly, we were with you leaving the best for the last, but then just in the nick of time, we had join us from Zabta. Welcome, sir. How are you? Sir, you are on mute. Oh, you're not on mute. Can you hear us?
Yeah, I'm hearing you now.
Okay. Are you?
Yeah.
Glad
Hello?
you can. Hi, can you hear us?
Yeah, I'm hearing.
Okay. So we have a slight. Okay.
Hello?
So we're having issues with the reception.
Yes, I'm hearing you.
Okay. Okay. Now it seems to be a little bit better. Okay,
Okay.
sir. Yes. Mayambala Godfrey, can you introduce yourself, specifically what we're looking for in the introduction is, of course, who you are, what company or organization it is that you belong to, what that organization does, what you do at that organization, and finally, what is it that excites you about smallholder agriculture. So looking for about 5 pieces of information for you to introduce your good self to us before we actually delve deep into the questions. Does that sound good?
Okay. Yep.
Okay.
Thank you, Tim. My name is Mayambala Godfrey. I work with farmers, especially smallholder farmers, because the farmers that I work with, 90% are smallholder farmers. I work with a farm organization in the names of Ziloba Galiawamu Agribusiness Training Association. I have seen it grow up the level it is, because this is my 10th year working with smallholder farmers. And I also come from a farming background. What we do at ZAPTA, we are a farmer organization that brings together smallholder farmers.
Mm-hmm.
We are having a registered number of 4,672 individual farmers, but our services reach out to 21,000 farmers.
Okay.
Like we work with 5 sub-counties, we work with 5 districts of Central Region, that is Luwelo, Mukono, Kayunga, Nakaseke, Nakasongola, and some part of Wakiso. So what we do is we work with farmers across the whole agricultural value chain. When you look at the way our smallholder farmers work, some of them stop somewhere and they claim that it is not working out. So we look at closing all the bottlenecks right from when a farmer gets the knowledge on how to grow something up to when the farmer gets the money in the pocket. So we work across the whole agricultural value chain in 5 main value chains. We have been in rice for the last 16 years. We are in maize, we are in beans, we are in coffee, and we are also in horticulture. So like we work with the farmer across the whole agricultural value chain.
Super, super.
And,
Okay, so
what interests me is,
yeah.
What interests me with working with the smallholder farmers is that they just need simple things. They just need some simple technology that can help them get money and live comfortably in their villages.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay, super. So there you have it, someone who is very close to the final stakeholder that we're talking about, that stakeholder being the smallholder farmer. I don't know if William is available. William, can you introduce yourself as the CEO of Easy Agri, which is organizing this webinar? And again, tell us who you are, what your company does in your words, what you do at the company, which is a fair amount, and what excites you about smallholder agriculture.
All right.
William,
Hi.
yeah, okay, can hear you. Now you're on mute though. William?
Yeah, can you hear me?
I can hear you, yep. Ah, there you are.
Sure. Hi, guys. Hi,
seeing you.
Wendy. Hi, hi, Solomon. Hi, Mayambala. Hi, Esther. Hi, Vivek.
Hello.
So well done so far. So I'm called William Lee. I'm the CEO of Aquarium Company Limited, or trading as Easy Agri, and organizers of this event. So thank you, guys. So I'll just dive into it so that I can save the time for the panelists, save most of the words for the last. So we are really very excited to be here. So we digitize agriculture value chains to provide better production, marketing, and financial services to farmers, as Esther said. And what excites us about smallholder farmers is because they drive the African economy, they drive the Ghana's economy, they both from the side of feeding us and also on the side of employment and also on the side of GDP, or from the country level or from the macroeconomic level. So it's so exciting to work with these people, though they are at the bottom of the pyramid, but we believe with the solutions, with all the different partners whom we have in the room, that we can make it work, we can make them visible upstream, we can make them known around the world, we can make them be known even up to the last point of their farm so that they can trade well, so that their product. I think Vivek, let us just dive into it. Thank you.
All right, cool. Thank you, William. Thank you. Excellent. So look, without further ado, let's just dive deep into the subject matter content of this conversation. What I'll do is, just to give you an idea of the structure of this, is based on the topics that you received a heads up on, I will be asking a question of each of you. So I'll pretty much set a bit of context around a question, and then I will ask the question, and then you will have time to answer that question. And then I will do that for each panelist serially, one after the other, at the end of which we'll open the floor up to participants to ask any questions that they have, which we will have accumulated and curated to then give back to you. So the questions from the floor will be happening at the end of this webinar. So having said that, I'll start off with Esther, actually. Esther, one of the recognized approaches of developing a sector and developing an entire national economy is this idea of clusters. This idea was kind of popularized by the business guru from Harvard Business School called Michael Porter, whom I'm sure most of us know. And he basically said that if you want to make an economy or a cluster or a sector work, let's say it's mining or agriculture, you need to have a cluster of inputs that interplay with each other. So for example, in the case of the printing industry in Germany, Germany has kind of developed a brand as, the premier nation at the forefront of developing printers and printing technology. They happen to have a cluster of very good machinists, very good chemical factories that produced ink, and all those ingredients kind of came together to really give rise to a successful and profitable printing industry. So it seems Easy Agric is trying to use technology to build such a cluster of services and inputs for agriculture in Uganda. By providing this kind of end-to-end solution for smallholder farmers. Can you speak to the specifics of Easy Agric's approach to building this cluster using technology? And secondly, can you talk to how this approach has performed during the COVID-19 pandemic? So basically 2 questions. Can you speak to Easy Agric's efforts towards building this cluster, and also how has this fared in the light of Corona? Is that clear?
Sure. Thank you very much, Vivek. I hope I really don't give you that hard time to be put first again, but I'll just dive into it. So as William had introduced and myself introduced Easy Agric, we are a tech company. We are committed to making sure that the farmer receives all their needs in terms of information and bundled services right from production up to market. We really are inclusive. We work with community-based agents for farmers who do not have smartphones, because one of the questions that we normally get is, we are talking about technology and we are talking about agriculture. Those are 2 sectors that people normally see as really very apart on each end of the string, if I'm to say. They are not almost compatible. But what we do to be inclusive in terms of reaching out to smallholder farmers who do not have smartphones, we work through a network of community-based agents that we call Easy Agric agents, who are equipped with the smartphone that is loaded with Easy Agric. The likes of Mayambala, who will talk more about his experience of interfacing directly with smallholder farmers, people who are tech savvy that can still serve these people. Now, looking at agriculture, if I'm a farmer, at the end of the day, it's not like I'm only producing for food. I need seed, I need finance, I need advice on my acreage. I need to know what kind of pesticides I should use. I need agronomy information. There's really a lot but we have committed ourselves to make sure that the farmer has all this so that their production is really at a level where they can make money. Most of the farmers have been doing farming, yes, thinking it is a business, but at the end of the day, there's actually no money coming back. So using our mobile-based application, Easy Agric, we provide end-to-end solution right from production, where we use, I'll just talk very fast about the functionalities that we have and how they're used, where we have a farm manager to guide farmers in production, know the cost of production and also what the expected yield would be at the end of the day. This is really to guide them to know that they are doing business. On top of that, we have an e-commerce platform that is AgriShop, where they can buy directly from genuine suppliers, the likes of Solomon from Bukola and Sophie from Grain Pulse. Normally, these farmers do not know where to buy from, and they've been affected by counterfeit products. It's really sad that they put in their little money, but still buy counterfeit products. So what we are doing on AgriShop is to make sure they buy directly from these genuine suppliers. On top of that, we have a knowledge hub that is a better extension. It is in graphics, crop-specific graphics, videos, so that we can guide them again as they're farming along the season. We guide them on how they can do production. We are committed to making sure that these guys also have access to capital, because you won't use beans. Unfortunately, we do not have barter trade where you give Sophie, well, Sophie likes beans and grain, she can buy. But let's say Bukola, you won't give him a kilo of beans for him to give you herbicide. You need some money. So we've put up easy credits where farmers can get at least some bit of advance to help them extend on their production, scale in farming and also in their yield. And then lastly, also in Easy Agric, we have what we call produce market. When you've been getting this capital and getting all these inputs, you're tilling your farm, at the end of the day, you want good market for your produce. So at Easy Agric, we source for partners in the market area who can pay for quality. It's very hard, it's not easy, it is a journey that we are committed to doing, but we want to make sure that the quality that you have produced is really paid for. So we're committed to sourcing for the right markets for these farmers. So Vivek, in terms of being inclusive and clustering our services, you cannot do farming in silos. We have that one center for a farmer to get all their services that they need to increase production. Yes, and lastly, just a point of emphasis, you do not have to have a smartphone to work with us. Even if you do not have a smartphone, get linked to our agent, Easy Agric agent, who is within your community, and you'll access all these services from Easy Agric.
Okay, okay. And then can you speak to how this approach that Easy Agric has been using, this technology approach to cluster building, how has it fared in light of the ongoing pandemic?
Okay, so we've seen what there are restrictions in movements, restrictions in people accessing input shops or even getting finance and market. Using Easy Agric, you do not really have to move from your farm or from your village to come to Kampala. So we've had really agri input shops that are based in different regions of the country within the districts. They can order on Easy Agric right now and we deliver to them. So people have taken advantage of the e-commerce platform on Easy Agric, where they make orders from the desired input suppliers and we deliver to them. The fact that in Uganda, and maybe also in other African countries, I believe, agriculture was one of the businesses that was left essential. So farming hasn't stopped because people have to eat. We also haven't stopped because we want to make sure that people access the services that they need to continue farming. So during the pandemic, we did deliver inputs and other services that were requested for, because it was in time of the season. And we are still moving forward to do that. We cut prices for people to really be able to get good prices, because they're constrained on capital as well. We understand that. So we've cut prices, we've done advances so that farmers and our partnering master agents and village agents can still continue farming. We are committed to scaling that. So let's have more people engaging on Easy Agri so that they can benefit on this during the lockdown and even post the lockdown.
Super. Okay. Okay. Good to know that things have still been rolling in spite of all the COVID difficulties. Okay. So moving on to Sophie. Sophie, it's said that in matters of supply chain, the real truth is on the ground. The truth is not in glossy, fancy offices, but rather on the ground. And as a provider, as well as a transporter of agro inputs to farmers, as well as being an off-taker that buys produce back, can you as Grain Pulse speak to a few of the realities, the on-ground realities, such as like challenges or opportunities that you are witnessing farmers facing? Beyond the rhetoric that we hear in the news, what are you as a company that deals directly with the farmers seeing in terms of the on-ground realities that they are facing in light of COVID-19?
Thank you, Vivek. So just for the benefit of the people that have just joined, I will tell you again what Grain Pulse is. So Grain Pulse is an integrated agribusiness that produces crop-specific fertilizers. Currently, we have 10 blends of the crop-specific fertilizers, meaning we give the crop the actual nutrients it requires in terms of the A, P, and the K. And then we buy offtake from the farmers of what has been produced, of majorly coffee, grain, and pulses. So because we are off-takers and yet also give the farmers the input, it's extremely important that we have a good, we understand the value chain and work with the farmers to ensure that we get proper offtake, because that is what is required. So currently with the COVID-19, the challenges we have seen the farmers face that are finally also going to affect us, things like the supply chain has been affected. So the COVID rules broke a few times, meaning farmers cannot easily access trucks and then the trucks need to stop at particular times. What this does then is increase the cost of transportation of us getting the produce from the farmers to the factory, where it has to be processed for the next process, for the next steps. Now, there is also lack of knowledge. So we have an agronomy team that goes out to give knowledge and train the farmers. It works it works together with the Corion under the village agents model. But now during COVID-19, these trainings were not able to happen because of it became a bit difficult for information to get passed on to these farmers who really needed it because the season was already here. So there's also inadequate access to financing. Farmers don't have information. Because they don't have information, it becomes a bit difficult for banks to extend credit to them. And they expect us to be able to give them input at credit, or for them to be able to pay later, which is a bit difficult. And that hinders the amount of inputs that go down to the trade. Now, they also couldn't access agro input shops. The shops were closing either earlier or some were not able to open because people couldn't walk the distances to go to the agro input shops. What that means is the farmers are going ahead to plant without inputs or with not the right input. So that is going to affect the yield, the quality of the yield we're going to get, but even the quantity that is going to be affected really. So there's a connection also between the market, like a farmers growing, knowing they have ready access to market. If that is very clear, then it hinders them using inputs because they don't know if after they've invested in the inputs, they're going to be able to sell out. But the opportunities I see in the agro input sector is that we are going to be, government has come in and it's going to support us, I think, more after COVID, but it's already been supporting us under the ACDP project, the Agricultural Development Cluster Project. Organizations like how or IFDC or the UN are going to come in and support farmers to pass on knowledge, but to also ensure that farmers are getting the right inputs for companies like Grain Pulse that have the inputs readily available. So there's also going to be opportunities for farmers to join things like the proof of concept that was being run by Stanbic Bank and Akorio in Kasese. Things like those are going to come in, and that is able to offer the credit that the farmer actually requires, and also ensure that the farmer gets the right inputs and hence gets good results, and then the market is readily available because Grain Pulse is ready to buy the product. We also saw that we needed to use our call centers more because the teams could not go out to the trade. So the opportunity was that now we get to phone to call the farmers, understand what it is that they exactly need, and then deliver to the farmers. What this did is it increases our cost and hence affects our margin, but at least enables us to get inputs out in the trade so that these small scale farmers are able to continue planting and then return to us. Because as a company that deals in output, it's extremely important that we support the small scale farmers in ensuring they have the right inputs for us to get the right output. But on the outputs generally will still be affected. We'll give an example of the proof of concept in Kasese. Farmers were not able to move to go and check on the plants. So pests and yields and weeds affected the crop, meaning it's going to affect the output. But what would they have done about it? It was a time where there was no mobility. So all those hindrances keep coming up. Then there will be post-handling challenges where there's shortage of labor. Laborers can't move from one village to another to come and help you with your garden. That is also going to affect the output. The travel restrictions and the curfew, like I had already said, and then even just difficulty for the farmers to move to centers where they could find aflatoxin kits or moisture meters for them to come and measure and check that their produce is stored right and it's going to be perfect for when the time comes for them to sell it. The opportunity still is on output is the government's new initiative on the tax of importing, bringing into the country agricultural product is going to help. Maybe it will help stabilize a bit of the prices for the farmers, but also ensure that people consume the locally produced product. So it will help increase the consumption of local products. There's also going to be an increase in demand of good stuff. So it's going to be very important that people that are practicing agriculture actually work with genuine input suppliers to make sure that they produce very good quality product and in very good quantities for us to be able to have enough product for the country. So there's also going to be a commitment, appreciation of agriculture as commodities buyers are buying. There's going to be appreciation really of agriculture because we'll have more people participating in agriculture, and hence that will probably support, this will definitely support the economy. As listening to a guy today morning, Dr. Akin, and he said the future of, I read the statement, the future of food in the world will depend on what Africa does with agriculture. Therefore, we must change our view on agriculture. Agriculture is not a development activity or a social sector. Agriculture is a business. And I want people to appreciate the fact that agriculture is a business and we all can go in there and do it as a business if we do the right thing.
Okay, super, super. Yeah, it's I guess it's an interesting kind of dilemma wherein it's recognized that agriculture businesses and economies on the continent, at the same time farmers are really struggling to make that agriculture happen the way you described. There's opportunities but serious challenges, so it's encouraging to see government and multilaterals and the like step in to kind of resolve that conflict. But definitely with you on the idea that agriculture is a business and it's a national economy and a continental economy and a world economy also. So thanks for those insights, Sophie. Okay. So I'll move on now to Solomon. Solomon, I wanted to talk to you about partnerships. You know, partnerships are recognized as a way for a business to extend its resources. It's to extend its resource base in order to become more competitive, depending on time and circumstance. Partnerships can be forged to achieve those kinds of objectives. Can you speak to some of the partnerships that you have forged during the COVID era, and what results those partnerships have brought to you as a supplier of valuable inputs to farmers?
Great. Well, I usually want to think that digitization, for example, is not just an agricultural issue or a technological issue. It involves many parts of the economy. So this essentially means that for the times that we really have faced the kind of situation the COVID pandemic has kind of put us in, has made many businesses think that and probably realize that digitization or going digital is just one way of still remaining relevant. So this essentially means that the farms, the organizations that are in the digital space were, to me, a point of rotation, so pivotal to a collaboration with so many other partners. So all farms that are working around digital media were a go-to partner during this time to enhance the communication of information and the movement of goods and sometimes also services. Well, digitization to me, and putting them as the digital partners as central to partnerships to enhance services to smallholder farmers, is everything from delivering farming advice through text messaging to interactive voice responses. Many participants, panelists have mentioned that the pandemic has put us in a situation where, given that mobility was curtailed, we had to find a way to reach out to them with either information, with the goods, and of course services where applicable. So we've had so much to think of who exactly to work with to ensure that us as a company, an agri-inputs company, we are still able to give services to our consumers of the products that we put onto the market, and products to reach them as well. In the beginning, the biggest challenge was the farmers could not move. Most relied on us and several other partners that we're working with in the industry to access these inputs. So if the farmers were unable to move, then we had to find a way of ensuring that we reach out to them in one way or another. Talking about, again, partnerships, and directly answering the question, which partners have we been working, or have we worked with, which partnerships have we forged? Certainly, there has been partnership with the companies such as Aquarion. We've worked very directly with Aquarion. You've had through the Easy Agric app, where there's so much that smallholder farmers can tap into. So we've worked directly with companies like Aquarion to ensure that farmers are able to access products. The other partnerships we've had is with media houses to ensure that we're able to get the message out there through radios, through print media, and the likes. But trying to look at the biggest challenge, crop protection products being, they're not consumer goods where you buy today, unwrap, and then you use as you want. These are products that require a lot of attention in terms of before maybe a pesticide is given out, you must have the right prescriptions. You must understand the problem such that you are passing on the right product to help address such a challenge. And in the use, the farmers must be definitely guided on how to go about using these products. So a lot of information has to go out. And this is where the digitization comes in. Because if we look at it entirely with all the applications that may link farmers to multimedia advisory content, farm inputs, where to buy, and the off-takers certainly and of course covering such areas as recent use of drones and satellites for information to enable farmers plan their activities very well. These digital technologies are quite essential, especially during this period of time. So whichever partners, whichever organizations are working around this space to ensuring that people, farmers are able to access information. Because one of the biggest challenges, we've mentioned that, or I mentioned earlier that 80% of the food that we thrive on, we eat, we consume in the sub-Saharan Africa, Uganda inclusive, is produced by smallholder farmers. And one of the challenges that these farmers are facing is lack of access to information. Now, this is information in as far as how to produce is concerned, in as far as where to buy from is concerned, in as far as where to get access to finance is concerned, making sure that people understand the environment in which they work is quite critical. So once we're able to get this set of information and also much that the farmers need, certainly we are able to move them to a place where we will see them produce as much food as we definitely have to consume. So all partnerships that we have really focused onto have been those that are able to provide information and that are able to increase the mobility of the products. The people may not move, but as long as an organization is able to create an opportunity for movement of these products, certainly those have been go-to partners, and we've tried to identify so many of those to ensure that the products are moving, but also the information is following the products.
Okay. I think that that's an approach that makes a lot of sense and probably necessary. Is you want to move not just the matter, but you want to move the information that moves with it, or the products, but the information that moves with it. And also during this era, since we're not meeting people in person and interacting as much as we used to, it's very possible for information to be lost in translation, so to speak. And a lot of things to be misread. So it's nice to know that you're proactively trying to handle that information dimension also. So thank you, Solomon, I appreciate it. Moving on a little bit further, on to Wendy. Wendy, it's said that a bottom of the pyramid approach may be needed to literally lift millions out of poverty on the African continent. And Standard Bank has ventured into this space, operating at the intersection of financing solutions and digital technology to provide for greater economic inclusion of smallholder farmers in what will be hopefully increasing numbers. Can you describe your ventures and your experiences thus far, and also your learnings as to what you think the critical ingredients are for success for digital financing to work at scale for smallholder farmers?
Yeah, thank you. Thank you very much. Again, thanks to everyone. Welcome to the 72 participants. It's great to be here today. I work in a different area within the group. It's called ecosystems. And essentially what we do is we set up new businesses that are to be more than just financial services. So the first point I want to land with you is when we think about smallholder farmers, we don't just think about financing, but we think about how we can help in many ways that are much wider than just the financing piece. So in my area, we've been tasked with looking at building these new ventures. And I guess the second message I want to leave is that we're open to business to work with a whole lot of partners, be they input providers, be they agri-techs, be they farmers associations. And there's a great panel of people on today. And we are very interested in the whole ecosystem. And the reason we're interested in the whole ecosystem is that we want to play more than a bank's role, and we want to be involved with you in your businesses. So right from the smallholder farmer, right up to the off-taker or the processor, we would like to assist and provide different services and work with different partners to do that. So let's talk about one of the things we do well, which is financing. I'd like you to think about what we're thinking about for smallholder farmers as not just financing, but let's just talk about it, because as a bank, that's normally our ticket to the game. And when we arrive on your doorstep, you say, hey, don't offer me all those other things. I just want money, or I want working capital. And we had a great experience with that, right? So we went in with Easy Agri into Kasese, and we said to the farmers, we can map your land with Easy Agri, and we'll give you a whole lot of data points, and it'll be great, and you'll get some information. And the farmers said, thanks, but no thanks. If you want access to that data, come and bring us some working capital, because what's really going to make a difference to us is working capital. And so our experience have been absolutely fascinating, and we're open to business with smallholder farmers. And I think the key lessons learned around that have been the following. The first one is, regardless of how much digitization is taking place, you still need to have physical presence on the ground. So you still need to have agents or people who are involved with our smallholder farmers, who are able to collect information and who are able to interact with our farmers. So that was a massive lesson learned from us. You can't digitize this thing and not have presence on the ground. So working with Easy Agri had made that easy for us, because we were able to use your agent model to make sure that we could work with the farmers, as well as get information on the farmers to help make lending easier. So the first one is physical presence. The second one is around farmer data. We have to be able to get the data to be able to look at alternative credit models. And so what we were able to do in Kasese, and what we're hoping to do elsewhere with different partners like yourselves, is an ability to get data, to look at alternative credit models and be able to lend to this previously, I guess, underserved sector. And I think there's huge potential in terms of being able to do that. And there is great sponsorship from a group's perspective to do that. I think the third one is very much around, how should I say this? There's lots of talk right now in terms of remote sensing and using satellite imagery and being able to digitally monitor farms. I think we still got a way to go there. And I think there's huge potential in it, but we're working really closely with a lot of major global suppliers to make sure that in the future we can use digital interventions like that to monitor farmers and to be able to provide feedback to them, and obviously to manage our risk. So another big lesson learned that we've had is nothing, again, replaces the role of the agent on the ground and an ability to monitor what the farmer does. I think some of the other learnings that we had were very much, and that speaks to what Sophie was speaking about earlier, was around having off-takers involved. And so if we want to be with the farmer, we need to support the process right from inputs, as discussed by Solomon, right through to working with the co-ops and the farmers associations, but really importantly, the off-takers. Because we would prefer to get paid before the farming community gets paid. And if you don't have the right off-taker involved to be able to help with that, it's very difficult to be able to collect on the loans that we've given out to the smallholder farmers. I think if you look at the whole experiences that we've had over the last 9 months, it's given us the most incredible results and the impetus in the organization to do so much more than just lending. So the first thing is, with the help of the agents and ability to provide an agronomist on the ground, as well as working capital, in that first POC that we did with yourselves, we were able to see between 40 and 50% increase in terms of the yield that the farmers were able to produce. Fantastic results. So how can we really impact on the productivity of the whole community and work with the farmers associations, as well as the other players in the value chain, to continuously positively impact on the productivity of what's happening? So we want to help with lending and are open to business if you're able to give us data. But in addition to that, we also want to be able to offer what we call Protect, which is insurance services and other offerings to anyone along the value chain. We would also like to be able to work with the value chain to provide deep agronomy support and other data services. So I think overall, in summary, Our experiences to date have been super positive. There's a lot of sponsorship to drive a venture that's much wider than just financial services. And we're looking to work with multiple partners across the value chain to make that a reality.
Okay. Thank you, Wendy. That was pretty insightful. Thank you for those insights. I think what, for me, what really came out of that is that as much as, you know, technology allows us to scale and allows us to make the bottom of the pyramid happen, at the end of the day, we're dealing with very real stakeholders, very real people, and it's beyond just digital and virtual issues. There's a huge human on the ground brick and mortar component involved. And it's great that, you know, you guys have, Standard Bank have and Stanbic have developed use cases that have proven that to us all. So thank you very much for those insights. Before I continue, I just wanted to say that we have disabled the chat to prevent disruptions of this webinar. And so what I would suggest is for members who have dialed in, audience members who have dialed in, to please line up your questions for one or more of the audience. And then we will use the question and answer session, which will happen in the last 20 minutes or so of this webinar, for you to deliver those questions directly to the panelists. But moving on further, I will move on to essentially the last set of questions, which is for Mayambala Godfrey. And I want to talk to you, Godfrey, about the last mile. You know, the last mile is generally acknowledged as, you know, the most critical segment of any supply chain, particularly when it comes to rural distribution. And here, agricultural associations and co-ops such as yours, they prove to be very valuable. And we would be interested in knowing, or I'd be interested in knowing, what measures have you taken as such an association to assist your farmers in the COVID pandemic? That's the first part of the question, is what measures have you taken? The second part of the question is that what lessons have you learned that you might be able to share with organizations similar to yours, as well as smallholder farmers in general, about what has transpired during the pandemic? Does that make sense?
Yeah. Thank you, David, and the rest of the team. But I want to first take you to something that, how do we work as a farm organization or as a farm association? Being a one-stop center, we work in an ecosystem. A one-stop center is where a farmer can come for knowledge and go away with money. This was a concept that was developed by one of the NGOs in the names of Sasakawa Global 2000. We appreciate because it is a modified approach that looks at working with the farmer, not getting stuck in the journey of getting money. So as a one-stop center, we utilize different partnerships that are and market access. It was also a concept that was developed by Steve Sasakawa. But what happens is that we look at how a farmer begins to think of getting money through agribusiness. Then we work with this farmer, utilizing the different partnerships available. When you look at a smallholder farmer, they have been supported before by some people or some organizations, but some of them have been stopping somewhere. When a farmer goes and does production and stops there and is stuck with his produce, then he has not completed the chain. In the end, he thinks that agriculture is not contributing to his growth. So what we look at is how we bring a pool of partners together to make sure that whatever problem that happens, at least we have a solution to provide to a farmer. Because the ultimate goal is to see that a farmer has money in the pocket, a farmer contributes to his needs, a farmer contributes to the economic development of the country. when he has the money in the pocket. Like you said, what are the measures that we have been utilizing to make sure that the farmers move on with their process of agribusiness? I want to say that we have been using different partnerships, but we have two approaches that we use. The first approach, we do what we call the backward linkage. As we are looking at the partnerships available, who are those partners that help the farmer to bring the produce ready? Then we just know that we need input suppliers. We go and look for input suppliers. And then we look at the innovation that they have that can help the farmer access the inputs. Like, for example, if you look at the current situation that has been happening for COVID-19, we have been able to work with the Easier Greek, Acorion. Like they said, we are their master agent. We have on the ground, out of the 40 village agents that we have, at least 20 of them have smartphones. But still, even the other ones that don't have smartphones, they do what we call aggregation of demand. They aggregate demand from a single farmer. The farmer doesn't need to move. He just sends the message to the village agent that I need 10 acres to plant in my 1 acre. And then I also need fertilizer, maybe DAP. Then this single village agent now sends the information to our center. Then we aggregate that demand, and then we send the order to Acorion. Then what Acorion does also, without moving, for us, we just wait for the products to be brought to our input shop. Then we notify the village agent that your list is ready. So the village agent just input shop. So that is one of the measures that has helped us remain in business. If I can say, among the smallholder farmers that we have been working with, at least 90% have managed to do their production cycle very well, just because they have been using that platform provided by Acorion. Now, when you look at currently the stage that we are on now, the rice is ready. Currently, we are processing rice. But the farmer says, now, here is the rice. How do we now take it to the market? Still, the market support systems are helping us very well. We are not stuck with the rice. Still, the rice is now moving to the market. So we have been using the digital systems that are available with our partners, make sure that the farmers break through their production cycle. Now, when you look at the backward system has finished, then we go again now to the forward linkage. Then we look at the different partners that can support us to see that the product reaches the market. We have been having issues with exports. Like you see, we have been delivering maize to Kenya and beans, but we have been stuck that the products are not crossing. But still, given the fact that we have been working with our counterparts in Kenya, still we have been utilizing the systems available, the URI systems that have been online, and we have been making transactions even to export to Kenya. That was an initiative that was brought on board, by one of the partners that we work with in the value chain. It's called Kilimo Trust. They have a project called Reacts. Like it is looking at the regional trade in staples across the East African region, and then how bridge up the bottlenecks that are available. We can't move, but the products have to go there because our brothers in Kenya need it. So we have been using the systems that are available, and then we have been in position to help the farmer in the backward linkage, using those partners that are available, and then at the same time, using the forward linkage and look at how do we access the markets, then use that are available, make sure that the products are associated with cooperatives or farmer groups to increase the level of extension systems. Because when you look at extension itself, if a farmer doesn't have the knowledge, please, if he is to yield 90%,
Godfrey, you're breaking up a little bit.
Going to be at 30%. I have information. There are a lot of appreciate extension services through the farmer associations or farmer cooperatives. And if there is no extension, if a farmer was to get 90% and he doesn't get extension support, he's likely to get 30%. So there are a lot of innovations that have happened. Like when you look at rice, there are some farmers out there who don't know that Bukola has a selective herbicide that weeds rice. And if this information doesn't go to the farmer, then the farmer will not be stuck. And at the end of it all, the production cycle will not come out very well. So we need to look at extension. We need to look at how do these farmer associations access extension support by looking at the public-private partnerships available, and at the same time, break through the markets by looking at still the public-private partnerships, because no single association can be in position to buy all the produce. Like for me, I work with over 20,000 farmers. I don't have the funds to buy all that. But what I do is I utilize the public-private partnerships in the marketing system that all the products can go to the market and the farmer is happy.
Got it.
Yeah.
Got it. Mayambala, Godfrey, you did break up a little bit, but I did, and I hope most people did get the gist of what you were saying. I think what was quite interesting was the forward, and not just the forward linkages, which is what we often think about, but the backward linkages that you think are important to establish, especially during this time. I also found it quite encouraging that you said that, was it through apps like Easy Agric that up to 90% of farmers were able to continue conducting business even during this time? Is that correct? Did I hear you properly?
Definitely.
Okay, that's really encouraging to know. Panelists, I can't thank you enough for sharing your wisdom with us. We're now we're running slightly behind time, but still have, I think, sufficient time to go through our Q&A, which was scheduled for the end. I wanted to thank you guys again, and also thank our lovely audience. I'm quite impressed with the turnout at 90 participants for our first webinar. Certainly the first webinar I've ever moderated. That's really, really encouraging. So thank you for listening to these wonderful panelists and tolerating me. I'm going to go straight to the questions now. The nature of the questions is that they are targeted at a specific panelist. So I will state who the panelist is that the question is for, followed by the question. So the first question is to Easy Agric, and in this case, that would be to Esther on this panel. And this is from Mercy in our audience. And Mercy has a very simple but very powerful question, which is as simple as this: how do you ensure that the vulnerables are reached? How do you ensure that those who are most vulnerable amongst us are reached? Esther, over to you.
Thank you so much, Vivek. Thank you, Dr. Mercy, for the question. As I had said at the start, one of the categories of vulnerable people in the digital sector is people who are not able to access infrastructure, digital infrastructure. We do this by training, as I said, the community-based agents, so that they are able to access all the services through Easy Agric. So the farmer can access through the community-based agent who has a smartphone and has Easy Agric loaded on it. The other category in farming, I would say, is the literacy levels for people. Really, even if they were to access these digital solutions in terms of content that we share with them. Can they understand English? Can they read? How do we make sure that they're able to access that? So we're really making quite some changes in terms of the content that we share. So it is more in graphics, live videos, local language-based videos and animations, so that people can easily relate with the content that we share and they can implement it in their farming. Lastly, we know that at least all the people that are here, the 90 people that are here, they're here because they're interested in farming, in the farming community. We cannot work in silos. So partnerships is really a very big deal to us. if the development partners that are on board right now want to see how can we walk this journey together and make sure that these farmers, if there is a vulnerable sector in here, the category that we have, how can we help them, uplift them, and we can also reach them using easy agric and making sure that they're able to connect with other good agribusinesses in the finance sector, in the input sector, and in the market sector. Lastly, on the bit of being vulnerable in terms of accessing finance, I think Wendy hinted really on it. If we are able to use your data in farming and we are tracking what you're doing, like there's evidence of business, in this case, you do not need land title as security, but there's evidence for what you're doing agriculture as a business. Sophie, at the end of the season, will be ready to offtake your produce. So I'll just wrap it up. I'll wrap it up like that. So we are really committed also working in partnerships and with the platform that we have that can be accessed by those who have digital infrastructure, and even at the moment, those who do not have it through our agents.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Esther. I'm moving on quickly, swiftly to the next question. The next question is actually for you, Mayambala Godfrey. There's actually, I'm going to combine two questions from the audience. One question is from Stanley Walakira, and his question is if you can kindly re-explain the forward linkage and backward linkage that I actually even spoke about a moment ago. It seems that you were breaking, and Stanley didn't quite understand quite well what you said about forward linkage and backward linkage. That's one question. The second question from the audience is from Hillary, and he's saying that you, Mr. Mayambala, have a great system at Zapta for extension. Can you please describe it to us? So two questions. One is if you can re-explain what you're doing in terms of backward and forward linkages. And the second question is, can you explain how extension works at Zapta?
Thank you very much, Vivek and Stanley, for the questions. They are really good. So what happens is the years that have worked with the farmers, they have issues segmented into two parts. The first part is that backward linkage. How can a farmer access genuine inputs? How can a farmer access mechanization services? How can a farmer access extension services? How can a farmer access post-harvest services? As a single farmer association, you may not be in position to have all these systems in place. But how do you utilize the partners, both private, civil society, government? How do you engage the partners in these three dimensions, make sure that the farmer accesses it? Like, for example, some 2 years back, at our association, we did not have a tractor. But then we realized there was a tractor that was lying idle at the district. And what we did as a farmer association is to create the public-private partnership with the district and told them that, look here, as a farmer association that brings together 20,000 farmers, we have capacity to collect some money and repair this tractor and put this tractor back to use. That was a backward linkage to see that we help a farmer access mechanization services. Because at that time we could not think that we have the money to buy a new tractor, but we could raise the money, work with government, repair it, and bring it back to use, and the farmer accesses the mechanization services at that time. That is one way of assisting a farmer to move away from the rudimentary hoe to using mechanization services. Some farmers don't know, like I was saying that some companies have blended fertilizers, for example, and they cannot know when they are on their villages. They don't know where they can know is to expose them to these partners. We can tell them that, please, Grandpa's has a blended fertilizer for coffee only. You can go to Bukola and get a specific herbicides that can help you weed rice. That is what we call a backward linkage, that you go and work with the farmer and see what challenges he are finding and how do we utilize the partners available that are working up to the harvesting period. There are different partners in mechanization, in inputs, in transportation, and then you link them to these farmers and they access the services. Now, when you look at the forward linkage, like I said, Big Mac was saying that they have the funds, but really, we cannot get the funds and be in position to buy all the produce that comes from the 20,000 farmers. What do? We link up with the traders who are in the system, and we tell them, please, can you come and work with us as an association? We have farmers, the rice is ready. Yes, I have some capital, but it is not enough. Can you come? I have had very many traders in Chikubo. I have traders in, we call it Kafumbe Mukasa. They drive their trucks and come to the milling facility. Whatever ton, they just tells you that, can you mobilize at least not less than 5 tons? I say yes, without using my own capital. This person comes with a truck, whatever that we mill, we put on his truck, and the farmer is paid there and then. That is a forward linkage. Instead of sitting and lamenting that we don't have the capital to buy from the farmers, we would rather do a partnership with those in the value chain, the marketing chain, to see that they can come, they can buy from the farmers, and they take it, and the farmer goes away with the money. So that's a difference between the backward linkage and the forward linkage. Then for extension system that we have, what we did is we made sure that we can support the 3 qualified extension workers, because we know that government currently doesn't have the money to employ all of the extension workers that we would need, because currently the ratio is 1 to 1,500. One extension worker looks after 1,500 farmers, which is not practical. It will take around 2 years when the extension worker comes back. So what we do as an association, we have 3 qualified extension workers that mentor routinely the village agents to give them some first-hand information that they can tell a farmer. They make sure that they tailor it to their knowledge. They are not professionals, they are paraprofessionals, but they have the baseline skills that they can take to the farmers on the villages, and they're in position to implement them and improve their cropping cycle. Let me hope I've answered both the questions for Hilary and
thank you very much, Godfrey, for that. And yes, this time it was much clearer. So I really hope it was easily heard by all the audience members, and it was nice to hear the backward forward linkage explanation again that had broken up a little bit due to transmission issues. My next question is another simple but powerful question. This question is from Katende, and it is for Wendy. Wendy, the question is as simple and powerful as, how can farmers easily access financing during COVID?
Simple and powerful. I think at the moment, the piece of work that we are involved in, you would need to be part of this process to be able to easily access the financing. So connecting with Easy Agri or connecting with us would be the best way forward. But the work that we want to do with partners and with what we call channel enablement partners like Easy Agri, NGOs, big off-takers, is to make sure that we quickly spread the initiative, and that we're able to receive data from the farmers and then lend to them. I think in terms of COVID in particular, I hope to get to a lot of those farmers shortly, but obviously there's lots of demand and we have to prove the different credit models. So I think at the moment, hold on. We're working with partners like yourselves, and that gives you an opportunity to come to a platform and ask for credit in a different way.
Okay. Super. Thank you. So there you go on what structure Standard Bank has in place, Stanbic has in place in order to access that financing, hopefully easily. Next question. This is a question for Sophie. Sophie, this question is from Barnaby. And Barnaby is saying that Uganda is rated quite low on fertilizer uptake per acre compared to some of its regional competitors, like perhaps maybe Kenya. And Barnaby is saying that this has a direct impact on farm productivity. So what plans, here's the questions, what plans does GrainPulse have to unblock the demand through the likes of training and awareness and on-ground support? And are there any, and second part of the question is, are there any learnings that can be picked up from similar operators from your peers in Kenya? So two-part question, what plans do you have to increase awareness and extension and on-ground support? And are your peers or similar companies in Kenya doing things that can be picked up from them? Are they at all applicable? Over to you, Sophie.
Okay, thank you for the question. I think that the biggest plan to drive consumption of agricultural inputs really relies on what are the farmers able to see. Because when farmers see stuff, when they see examples of where inputs have given their neighbors or friends very good results, and they learn to appreciate it. The other sad bit about Uganda and Ugandans, for a long time we have believed that we have very fertile lands, and this land doesn't exactly require mechanization or technology, that everything we plant on the ground actually grows. But I want to demystify that myth, because along the way, after they have grown crops on this land for very many years, I think Mayambala can speak to this, then the land starts to require some inputs for your crops to actually, for you as a farmer to be able to get very good yields and very good quality, the yield that you're getting. So our agronomy team is working on demonstration gardens. These have been placed in different parts of the country, and we continue to work on demonstration farms every season. Because when the farmers have a chance to go to these demos and see what is happening on the farm, then they are encouraged to actually try out the input, because they've seen very good results from them. And we've worked on demos with different projects. Under the Agra project, we probably put up like 1,000, but every season we have demonstration gardens in different parts of the country, and majorly at places that are very, or at farmers' places that are very influential, farmers that can actually call their neighboring farms to come and learn. We've seen it work very well in Amur. We are starting another demonstration garden in Kawishenga. People will be able to see it. But I guess those are the same results we get from projects like the proof of concept in Kasese. After the farmers have appreciated the use of inputs, it's going to become very easy for more people to actually appreciate the use of agricultural inputs or new technologies in terms of growing agriculture. And this is going to be very important. In terms of us being able to copy from the outside market, yes, the Kenya's uptake of fertilizers is much higher than now. I think Uganda is currently at 1.9 kilograms per hectare, which is very, very low, actually among the lowest in the world, yet we can do better than that. Kenya is much higher than that. Sub-Saharan Africa, I think, has gone to what, like maybe 135 kilograms per hectare, which is much better than Uganda still. So this just speaks to the fact that we need to learn. We need to appreciate the use of the inputs and what results you can get from the inputs. That's why, as Grain Pulse, we encourage all people that are able to farm to start small and then try the inputs. Let's have a part where there are no inputs and the part where there are inputs, for people to then appreciate the results when they see them. Kenya is doing very well. We have we are working with, we have a person in Kenya that supports us on collecting information in terms of what is happening on the ground. They've done really much better than us, and I think going forward we will have a lot to learn from them. But we also appreciate that the government's investment in agriculture and supporting the private sector to grow the agricultural segment is going to support the entire market in terms of what can come out of agriculture.
Okay.
So,
no, thank you, Sophie. I think that was a good comparative analysis of where we as Uganda are versus where some of our regional competitors are in terms of the likes of fertilizer usage. I have some more questions pouring in. We will have more questions than we have time. We have about 4 minutes left. I don't want to push it too much beyond that. I have a couple of questions that I think I'll be able to squeeze in. I'm going to direct this one. It's another question for you, Wendy. Again, simple and powerful. Wendy, this is from Mercy, and Mercy says, Wendy, please, what is your coverage in Africa? So I think she may be referring to the footprint of the bank as well as the footprint of your programs as they relate to financing for smallholders. Maybe we can divide it into those.
Yeah, sure. I'll quickly answer that. Thank you, Mercy. Within Africa, we're in 20 countries. So Stanbic has a presence in 20 countries. In terms of smallholder lending, we do outgrower schemes in about, I think, 8 of those countries. The program that I'm driving is very much around a bottom-up approach with smallholder lenders. And at the moment, that is an active POC with Easy Agri in Uganda. And we're hoping to drive that to another 4 countries in East Africa over the next couple of years.
Super, super. Nice, short and sweet for a short and sweet question. Going back to Godfrey. Godfrey, there's another question pouring in for you. This question is from Dora Namuganga, and Dora is asking you, what does it take to be part of a farmer association? Where are you based and how do I become a member of your association?
Thank you very much, Dora. Currently, what we are trying to do is we are trying to concentrate on the 5 districts of the central region and see that we do it our best. But currently, what I can advise her, if she is not within the 5 districts, she can arrange some time, come around at the one-stop center. We share ideas because now we are scaling up the one-stop center concept to other areas. Someone can copy whatever that we do. We can still work it out with Sasakawa or any other partner that is interested in upscaling what we are doing to the different parts of the country or different parts of Africa. Because the reality is the one-stop center concept is a hybrid of the cooperative system. And we think it can reach out even in the whole Africa. So they can come around, we share, and then we see how we scale it out. But we cannot say that we shall also go and work in Karamoja or elsewhere. We want to first concentrate on the 5 districts of the central region that we can scale out and share ideas and scale it up to the different parts of Africa.
All right. Okay, thank you. Thank you very much. Solomon, I have a question for you from Doru. Doru is in the north of the country, near Lira, and she's asking that what's the duration it takes from the time she places an order to you at Bukola for you to deliver something from Kampala all the way to where she is, which is in the north near Lira.
Great. Well, I'm going to have to pass this question on to Esther because our partnerships with the organizations that help us deliver these products, so take the orders, the arrangements have been quite many, but the most successful one has been where the farmer makes an order through the Easy Agri app. The Easy Agri app aggregates that kind of demand such that they are able to fetch these products together and control costs such as transport and deliver in a particular area. So Esther, please, how long has it usually taken the team to deliver an input that has been ordered through the Easy Agri app?
Thanks, Solomon. It's a maximum of 2 days from the time you make an order.
Okay, there you go. There you go, Doru. And that's for a substantial distance. Folks, it is 10:31 on my watch. I have many more questions than I have time. So thank you very much for all the questions, audience members. For those who have not been, whose questions have not been brought to the floor, I trust there should be a way to direct those questions to the right person. So I will try and work with our marketing team to see if we can still get those questions answered for you in some way, shape, or form. I wanted to take a moment to thank this lovely audience, which has approached almost 100. As I said, this was, I believe, one of our maiden initial debuts in terms of a webinar. certainly the first time I've done such a thing, and I'm sure that might be the case for a number of you on this panel also. And I think with your lovely smiles and brilliant brains, you guys certainly made it worth my hour and a half, and I hope the audience can testify to the same. So thank you very, very much to everyone for your participation. Again, I will follow up with our marketing team for those questions that are unanswered. One by one, thank you to each of Godfrey, to Wendy, Sophie, Solomon, and Esther, our very own Esther. Very quickly, I'm running over time, but I have to get closing remarks from my boss. William, over to you. Can you please wrap it up and in the next minute or so, and then we can call it a day.
Sure. Thanks, Vivek. Thanks, everyone. Thanks, Godfrey, who has represented Zapta. Thanks, Solomon, who has represented Bukola. Thanks, Sophie, who has represented Grandpaus. Thanks, Wendy, who has represented Standard Bank. And thanks, Esther, who has represented us in this hot panel. So we are really very grateful for your thoughts, for your thought leadership, for all the ideas which you have given us. And also thanks for our audience, which has been there, our participants. Hope this session has been very, very, very informative for you. So we still have more such sessions for us to bring up, even to try to show people how really technology at a granular level, how technology changes them, demonstration of how Easy Agric really works for people to really just get it and just download it. So if at all you want Easy Agric, just go on Google Play Store, just write Easy Agric Farmer. If at all you're a farmer, it's currently only on Android OS. So if at all you're a cooperative, you just shoot us an email, you just call our call center numbers, then we are able to sign you up. If at all you are an off-taker, also you can just call our call center, or you can just request for a demo from us, then we shall be able to demonstrate to you how we believe Easy Agric is going to change the smallholder farmers in this continent and across the world. So we are committed to still use technology to improve lives of people, to improve the vulnerable communities down in the rural area at the bottom of the pyramid. We are committed to that. We are committed to invest in a lot of resources. We are committed to create a lot of partnership to make sure that this thing moves and we change the lives of people. So thank you very much. And I wish you all the best. Thank you, our audience. Thank you very much.
All right, that's it from my boss. So I don't have much more to say except please remain safe and sound during COVID. This too will pass, and we look forward to seeing you at our next seminar. So goodbye and God bless and Godspeed. Take care.
All right.
Okay, bye all. Take care.
Thank you. Bye.
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 I see you can
Vivek,
also.
bye.
Yeah. Okay. I'm waiting for. As the host, I leave last, right? Okay, William.
All right, Vivek, thank you very much.
Okay. We'll do a post-mortem later on today. Thank you.
Yes, please.